All right, so let's talk about the end, my only friend, the end, right? If you
Yeah.
know, you know, right? The doors, shout out to the doors, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Clerks 3, sorry, we're saying Clerks, right?
Yeah.
Clerks 3 and Halloween Ends, way. Yeah, we talk about the closing chapters of trilogies here, man. So, Ricardo, did you see Clerks 3?
Yes, I do.
All right, so good. We can talk about Clerks 3, right?
Sure.
I saw Halloween Ends, so I will close off with that, right? So I will just do a preamble for Clerks, and then you jump into what Clerks 3 is about and what your thoughts are, right?
Yeah.
So Clerks, right? Um, of course, this is the debut feature from Kevin Smith. And I would say, we as a graduated film student, yes, this is one of the shows that you should look
Correct.
to in terms of independent cinema, right?
Yeah.
This is like a blueprint of how to, finance and make your own film. I mean, yes, I know he had opportunities, well, I mean, the man literally sell his comic book collection just to fund just to fund this movie, right? You know what I mean? Like half the things that he did, of course, we can't do, right? Especially in, this digital age, right? But he was able to do it, right? But for me, what I find so inspirational behind this though is what inspired him initially to do this, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
yeah, he saw a little film from a certain director called Richard Linklater, sorry, called Slacker, right? Not
Right.
one of my favorite movies from him, but I see the appeal, right? But yeah, looking at this show and saying, oh, this man made that next to nothing. Okay, I gotta make my film like that, right? And he was also inspired too by Do the Right Thing, right, from Spike Lee.
Right.
That's why
Right.
this film here, Clerks, is pretty much set a day in the life, right? I could
Yeah.
see how that influenced shows like Friday, and so on, right? But yeah, this was one of those shows that I kind of sought out because at a point in time, like prior to me going into film school, I was like very heavily into cult films, right? I
Yeah.
just wanted to see, oh, this is a cult film. Okay, I want to know what this is, right? So I heard about this thing, I watched it, and I was like, yeah, I see why people like this so much, right? But in preparation for Clerks 3, right? Reason being is because I never saw 2. I'll talk about 2 in a bit, right? I rewatched Clerks, man, and I think that yeah, it is still a very impressive film, right? It's not a perfect film, mind you, right? Still rough around the edges and whatnot. Um, the big sell, of course, is just the raucous humor and just how raw everything is.
Right.
Even to the point that they literally was going to read this thing NC-17 off a language alone. Out of just just the content, the verbal content in this film alone. But nah, just what he was able to pull off really worked, man. And just the concept makes a lot of sense. It's just these two guys in their 20s. They're
Yeah.
working in this convenience store slash rental store. They clearly don't want to be there, especially
Dante. Yeah.
Dante Hicks, who played by Darian O'Halloran. Throughout the film, it's like I'm not even supposed to be here. You know what I mean? Which is a great line, by the way, right? But yeah, you can relate to him in more ways than one. You can relate to his friend Randall, who is like the go-getter. He's the guy who just, if he just feeling to do something, he goes and do it, right? And Dante is just overthinking. It's like, no, well, no, I can't do this, and what does it mean about my life and all that kind of stuff. Like that shit that I personally can relate to, right? So
Yeah.
yes, I know I am not from, from New Jersey, and I can't relate to the lives or whatnot. But there's still a lot of stuff like if you're a Gen Xer, you can relate to, right? And
Yeah.
that's really why the show works, right? Um, but I didn't see Clerks too, right? At a point in
Okay.
time, I just didn't care to watch Kevin Smith films. I think it's because he just was dropping, bad film after bad film, like say Cop Out, for example, with
Right.
Bruce Willis. So
Yeah.
when Clerks 2 came out, like, I didn't really care to see it, but I saw it in preparation for Clerks 3, and I really enjoyed it.
Right. Yeah.
I
Me too.
felt like it
Yeah.
was a logical continuation of the story. I like that they gave Dante a love interest in the form of the baddie herself, Rosario Dawson.
Yeah.
um just like the aspect of yeah, we in a new place, we working at what's the name of this,
Movies.
movies, yeah,
Movies. Yeah.
movies, right?
Yeah.
And it's just about us just trying to get by, but Dante kind of wants to take the next step with Rosario's character, even though he is engaged to Emma, who actually I didn't even know till after the fact is actually played by Kevin's real life wife, right?
Okay.
Jennifer, right? Yeah, didn't
Yeah.
even know that. Yeah, didn't even know that, right? And yeah, again, just relatable characters. They in the 30s here, you know what I mean? Just trying to figure out their life, right? And what I love about the show, the series as a whole, right? The show is not just entirely about these existential questions being answered, right? yeah, it's just about the day-to-day about these guys that yeah, you kind of like, you just like being around them. You like how they get into hijinks. You like the conversations they talk about. I mean, that conversation about the Death Star in part one is
Classic. Yeah,
timeless. You know what I mean?
classic.
And of course, you know, it introduced us to the characters of G and Silent Bob. You know what I mean?
Right.
Great characters in my opinion, right? And just so much great bits in that first film, right? So much to mention, right? But yeah, this one it felt like yeah, you know what I mean? We're older now. We know that the show knows that. But you know we're just kind of showing that you know we've kind of changed, but we are changed at the same time. So I love that, right? And then we have Clerks III, right, which I would not have watched, and you know a lot of people didn't even see this one coming, right? Um, but yeah, here it was, and it was getting some fairly positive reception. So I was really
Right.
surprised by that. Then you yourself, Ricardo, said that you were waiting for the show to come out, and hey, it actually dropped on the week when you know Halloween Ends came out, right? So look at that,
Right.
right? But yeah, Ricardo, taking away your history with the Clerks franchise. Oh, and I should close with this. Never saw the animated series.
Okay.
Maybe I'll watch it. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Maybe there's an episode somewhere on YouTube. Maybe I'll see it. I don't think I'll
Yeah.
enjoy it. Maybe I don't know. I have a feeling that it might be like real, like you know, like mid 90s
No,
adult animation
it's
humor
pretty
level
funny
humor,
actually.
like a Duckman or there you say like a Duckman, Beavis and Butthead, or like a Critic. Like I feel it's like that level of quality when it comes to the humor. So that a show that I'll seek out, but I'll check it out in the you know eventually. But yeah, Ricardo, your thoughts on the Clerk series, and then you can jump into
Right.
Clerk
So
Street.
yeah, I'm lukewarm on the quote unquote Ask universe, right? It's something that I never I like. Okay, so I love the first Clerks. I saw it after. So the first big movie of his I ever saw was Dogma.
Yeah,
Love Dogma.
that was my first as well too. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that is still one of his best works, if not his
yeah,
best work.
yeah. One of probably my favorite movie of his. But I decided to check out his stuff after, um, with Clerks, and I didn't expect to enjoy Clerks as much as I was. I was like, oh, this is actually I could see why. Like, I'm not into it as much as that generation of filmmaker because then like whoever into that would have been a little older than me. But I dug it. I dug what he was going for and what it was about and why it works. And I get why it's popular. Like I get why he's popular. Like he does speak to that generation of filmmaker and film goer. And those kids as I say. And yeah, so then he did I think Chasing Amy is dated but interesting for its time. Like it was trying to do something interesting. Um and then like his other stuff don't really work all that well. And then the Jay and Silent Bob stuff you're kind of halfway on, right? I like Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. It was very silly, but it worked. And mostly because
I
of
agree. Yeah, I
yeah,
remember seeing that on cable. I
yeah,
enjoyed it. It was silly, but good.
yeah, mostly because of its silly cameos and what they were trying to do. But this then Clerks 2 came along eventually. Eventually Clerks 2 came along. Oh, right. So speaking of that, right. So the Clerks animated series is legit funny in my opinion. There are a lot of great bits in it. In my opinion. I thought that was a really, really funny show. But then they did oh gosh, what he did, but you're right, he started getting a little more serious. He started to do like um with his red states, and then I think again cop out was terrible, but he was doing anything. And then like you, I was hyped for for Clerks 2, and yeah, I enjoyed Clerks 2 for what it was trying to do, and did. I liked it for what it was. It evolved the characters in a logical space as you mentioned, and it works mostly. I didn't have I had very few problems with it, as it is. Um, so then eventually, time passing, he's a person who, not the biggest fan of some of his material as it is, but he mostly was known for like the college store stuff. Like he used to do these college speaking things and just tell stories about his version of what Superman could have been. And
Yeah.
he's the one who kind of keeps bringing up the point about the spider that's have this
Oh
one.
yeah, see the infamous spider.
Yeah, this one
Yeah.
Hollywood exec who just seemed to be obsessed with this robot spider thing, as it is, and so on and so forth. And that's why you just kind of ultimately just know him for most. But yeah, I ultimately eventually we come to this film, and I enjoyed it for what it was doing. I actually ultimately liked it, and pretty decent as it is. So yeah, we can start talking about it now.
Yeah, well, if you don't mind, just run through the synopsis of Clerk Street. What is about?
Right. So a little more time pass. They're still working at the store. Um, Unfortunately, Dante and Randall together. Basically the conceit is that well
Well,
Dante.
you see, unfortunately, remember, for those who haven't seen Clerks II, they end up buying back that convenience store. So they actually own the business. But the
Yeah,
problem is that they're in the late 40s, well, let's just say
yeah.
clocking 50, and they're still there. That's
You're
about
still there, yeah, yeah. And then, well, Dante's life unfortunately really takes a sad and unfortunate turn. Rosario Dawson's character is passes.
yeah,
Yeah,
boy. That one hurt, man. That one
yeah,
really, really hurt.
he's like dealing with that grief, and then, well, he almost loses his friend. Randall gets a severe heart palpitation. Something really, really, close to death's door, and then it kind of shake him up, and he basically decide, well, you want to make a film, to do something with his life. He kind of realize, hey, I kind of waste out my life, 30 years in this goddamn convenience store, goofing about, and he decided to do something serious. And basically, what they do is he makes a show, well, a movie. They have to make a movie about, well, him, and it did well, and then, well, the thing comes full circle because the script he makes is effectively Cook's one.
Yeah.
And that's the conceit of it. Where it goes, however, is a lot more surprising and unexpected. And I like this, but I felt the execution could have been better. It's good. I actually like it a lot.
Agreed. Yeah.
I like it a lot, but the execution is better. It's a shame because what happens is I forget the actor's name, but the guy who plays Randall is not a good actor. It's unfortunate.
Or Jeff Anderson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when it is
But the,
time
the,
for him to,
the, the funny thing is just that the older he gets and he has to play the same,
well,
asshole character, it just it just look like he tried a little too hard. You know what I mean?
so right, so that part is fine because the whole idea is his stunted, he stunted, Arrested Development effectively, which is fine. But the problem is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
when time for him to like legitimately emote, especially that last scene, which could have been much more powerful, and I thought that fell flat, unfortunately, though. Uh,
Oh yeah, I knew you talk about it. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
I was like, that is a real good line too. It's a great line that's absolutely perfect. So like on paper it's great, but like they could have do another take with that, but like I find it was a lot weaker and it felt a little on the cheap end, like which seemed to be my intention because yeah, the original Clerks was cheap as hell, and that was the idea, I suppose. But it is unfortunate that they could have make it. They just gonna make a better effort in terms of there's somebody. I think the budget needs to be a little bigger, and they could have make it a little. It does feel a little too cheap and amateurish. And again, I get it. It's Clerks. Like Clerks supposed to be cheap and amateurish, but they could have make a better effort. That's about it. It mostly just in terms of like execution and takes, not so much about the money per se. Just hey, you gotta take another take here, and have the scene flow a little better or make it work. But like it feel like Kevin Smith was just rushing through this, and it feel at times like a pandemic movie. Like it there's a little empty space and stuff looking a little too sparse at parts. But again, I thought it was like on paper it's a really good script when you think about it. Though, like I had very problems with the scripting. That's how I feel about that. It's good. Like ultimately it was good and it goes to really good emotional spaces and emotional spaces that make a lot of sense. And again, quite surprised at the ending. Like I was like, oh shit, this is what they do with it. All right, that catch me off guard. But it is ultimately valid and touching and what they do with it at the end. Um, yeah, so that's how I feel about it. Well, you could talk and then we could do it.
Yeah. I enjoyed this for what it was, man. I did not
Yeah,
expect, or kind of expected, but I didn't expect it was going to be this I should say, emotional, boy. Yeah. I mean, I won't lie. As I said, where Rosario Dawson's characters, that well, Becky's her name, sorry. Yeah, it hurt me, man. You know what I mean? And the reason why I'm saying hurt is that, yeah, the amusing thing about just recapping, or I should say, watching this trilogy play out, right, is how much you genuinely care for both Randall and Dante, but especially Dante, boy.
yeah,
Yeah, you want to see him shine. You want to see him live the best possible life that he can. But like every time he reaches a particular milestone, something happens, and he just has to go back down to scratch, right? Go back to scratch, basically, right? And yeah, you just feel sorry for him. Like the moment they reveal that, boy, that was like oof, right? And it's so funny too. And actually, like the meta aspect of it works for me.
yeah,
Just the idea that we're redoing, Clerks. If I just have one little gripe though, is that like we don't see the final product, like without spoiling anything, right? It's shown, it's pretty much stated that the final product is the 1994 Clerks film, right?
yeah,
But I wish that, like, in the context of the movie itself, like what the movie was about, we could have seen that version of Clerks. So even if it was just a montage, like how the montage in this one was, right?
right.
That being said, though, I won't lie though that montage and how it's all played out,
Yeah, the
and
end.
what it
Yeah.
led to, yeah, I wouldn't lie, it almost bring the man tears out of me, but like I really really
It
felt that
it
moment, right? I
it's
really
very
felt.
touching, you know. It is very touching what they decide to do. And again, it's a real shame you couldn't they couldn't like again
Like yeah, like
it
make it a
needed
little bit
more
more
blocking.
yeah, well, I mean, like, I think I know what you mean because yes, I mean the original one was low budget and whatnot. So for a guy like Kevin Smith, who in the game for like decades now, right? And remember, this is the end of your trilogy, right?
Yeah.
A trilogy that I understand is near and dear to his heart now. Yeah, make it big now. I'm not
Yeah.
saying like the story big, but just make everything look big. Like even part two in comparison to one look big, right? But three just kind of felt like I don't know, like visually and I don't know financially, just
Yeah.
like a just a little notch down. You know what I mean? But yeah, you coulda pump a little more cash into it. I mean, it's the closing chapter of your trilogy, bro. Like
Right.
go all in, right? But yeah, I understand what you mean, right?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, well, I should say in terms of the leads themselves, Brian and Jeff, they are Dante and Randall true and true.
Yeah.
They pretty much are the way they are with some, slight, life modifications or whatnot. I actually like that. G and Salad Bob are who they are as well. It's a lot of that, right? And even though Becky is not in the show per se, I mean, like in the physical sense, right? I like how they include her in this film, right? Especially the last moment involving her. Whew,
Right.
that worked
Yeah.
great. I actually do appreciate the and admire, I should say, the emotional moments of this though, because again, it's a show that's near and dear to Kevin Smith, and not so much of
Yeah.
oh well, I had some money and I took a risk and I make it work, right? But and this was like a great moment though. It's one of those things that people wouldn't even notice if well unless they watch it on home media. Hopefully, if they stick around to the end of the credits, right? Yeah, about 2 minutes into the end of the actual show itself, Kevin Smith actually does some narration. Like he talks about to the
Right.
audience, basically what Clerks, the original one, meant to him, right? And
Right.
what he
Right.
says in a nutshell, it's about those people who came in, right? Those weird, quirky people, right? Because yeah, if there's one main thing that you remember from the original Clerks, and I would say the whole trilogy, is just the myriad, just the wide array of characters that show up. Whether it's the guy who inspects the eggs, or
Right.
the woman who checks the expiration dates of milk cartons, right, or
Yeah.
milk bottles, sorry, right?
Right.
It's those characters that pretty much inspired him to make the show in the first place, right? But I also think that is well, I don't know if he was working with like it's clear that Randall probably is related to somebody that is close to Kevin, right? Maybe they work together at that convenience store or whatnot, right? But yeah, I mean, just that relationship is the glue to all of this, though. Just seeing how this story ends was great, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
Um, that being said, though, this is a film that will really cater more to Clerks fans than
Yeah.
everybody else. Even with the emotion, right? 'Cause the emotion does work, right? But you had to kind of see the story play out for you to understand. But I imagine if you are like really deep into the Askewverse or whatnot, yeah,
Yeah.
you would love this show. You would love this, right?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I appreciate it for what it is. But if I was really, really, really invested in all things Kevin Smith, yeah, I would have been like just weeping, 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 weeping at this though. But yeah, this is a solid enough send off. Though I wish that it could have been grander. You know what I mean? Just given that it is the end, right? But yeah, I appreciate, yeah, give respect where respect is due, man. I mean, Kevin Smith actually pulled off a solid trilogy. Like, look at that.
Yeah.
The man pulled off a solid trilogy. Like pound for pound, man. The man pull it off, man. And yeah, this is a trilogy that I wouldn't mind, recapping, in the near future, man. So yeah, I enjoy Clerks 3 for what it was, man. But again, I mean, you had to be I would say, if you are a diehard fan, you'll appreciate this a lot more. If you're not, you'll just kind of watch it like, yeah, I feel it. Yeah, I feel it. I cry a little bit. Yeah, I feel it, right? Not the most perfect send off here or there, but a really like heartfelt and fitting way to close this well, I should say rather unexpected trilogy off, man. So I would say rating wise, I'm gonna give this strong 3.5 to light 4, man. I think that this is worth checking out. But I will say, um, unless you know the Clerks films by heart, I would say watch the first two films in preparation for this, because just seeing that growth, that character growth, with Dante and Randall totally works, man. You know what I mean? And just just knowing that Kevin Smith just kind of poured his heart into it, and yeah,
Yeah.
made it work. You could feel the love. You know what I mean? Even right down to the making of the film, which at first I was a little on the fence, like, all right, we doing this, like, it really gonna be like we doing shot by shot remakes of certain scenes, all
Right.
right? But
Nah.
they still make it work.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I just wish that we saw the final product. That's all I'll say, right? But yeah, man, I mean, a trilogy that we didn't expect, and it actually ended on a really nice note, man. So yeah,
Right.
round of applause, Kevin. Round of applause.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ricardo, final thoughts are written.
Yeah, no, I thoroughly looking forward to it. Again, as I said, it could have, for lack of a better term, it could have baked a little longer, right? A little more in the microwave. But I dug it for what it was, and that I suppose is part of it, in terms of the appeal to, that amateurish aesthetic, I suppose, is the thing. But yeah, he do he thing. I can't be mad at it, and this is the is a thing that I'm not a surprise that I enjoyed as much as it. I really thought I didn't think it would be real crap, because I enjoyed too. Um, but it was still solid. For it is rating, yeah, 8 out of 10. I actually dug it for it was. They wouldn't make my best of the year or anything like that, but it's just like, right, I'm glad that they did this, like, in that way now. So that's about it.
Right, right. And Halloween ends? Question mark.
Matthew,
So,
Matthew, they travel and go home now. Like, I don't know. I don't know why you stick it out. Like,
nah, I had to do this, man. I
uh,
had to get this out of me. I had to get this
yeah,
out of me, right?
yeah, pressure.
So, this is the final part, final chapter in the new Halloween revival trilogy from, writer director David Gordon Green, right? Who I just realized actually directed George Washington, which is a pretty solid film and actually part of the Criterion Collection. You should
Okay,
check it out. Anyway, um, hmm, where to begin? So 2018 happened, right? And the first Halloween, film came out, got a lot of praise. I didn't get around to seeing it, unfortunately, because there was like this huge storm, in Trinidad and circumstances, right? So I had to kind of wait for it to come out of home media. So I eventually saw it, and I appreciate it for what it was. I felt that it was the Halloween sequel, if you will, that we all deserve, right? Because I'm talking about like the original one, right? Well, Halloween 1978. I mean, that one still stands out. That is still, for what it is, one of the greatest horror films ever made, right?
yeah,
And I still defend the sequel, the 1981 sequel, right? What that one did very well is that it tell you, all right, remember how the first Halloween ended? Here we're going to show you what happens directly after that, right? And I mean, that is just a horror trope that's been used afterwards, right? I don't want to say that this was the first film to do that, but I just love the idea of, okay, you want to see what happened a minute afterwards? Yeah, that's the sequel, and that's what we get, right? And then I mean, from that point on, I would say this franchise went through this weird metamorphosis way, because according to John Carpenter, he said that he did not want these films to be solely based on Michael Myers, right? He wanted it to be like an anthology thing, right? So that's why Halloween 3 season, which is a totally different story. But people didn't like that. People want to see Mike Myers. So then we get 4 and 5, which I skipped because I heard they were garbage, right? And
yeah.
then there was Halloween H2O, which came out in 98, which was trash, but it was good trash, and I
Which
actually
ones you
loved
want?
the ending.
Which ones you wanted Buster Rhymes in it?
That one I'm gonna get to. Halloween
Right.
H2 was the one with LL Cool J. That
Oh,
was it.
right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that one. The ending for that is fucking amazing, though. Like she
Okay. Good.
beheads uh Mikey the end of that. I love that. That was brilliant, right? And they could have end the show right there, Jen. And then Halloween Resurrection came 4 years later and say, oh, the person that, Laurie beheaded, well, actually, it wasn't that person. It was some orderly that, Mike put his mask on, and that person get his head
That
chop
was
off. So, yeah, he's still alive. Haha. It's just so dumb, right? But of course, what made that show so funny, of course, is Busta Rhymes' performance, right?
yeah.
There's so much great moments from it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
So now we get to this new Halloween trilogy, right? But the funny thing is, right? 2018's Halloween happened. I think, all right, well, that's the end, right? I mean, he was trapped in the house. It did a smart turn in terms of like elevating Laurie Strode's character. So she's not like a victim, and well, they did deal with PTSD, right? But she faced it head on and pretty much just trapped Mike Myers in this house and literally burned the house, right? But then Halloween Kills came out, in 2021, and pretty much say, well, he came out the house and killed some firemen. Just went on his rampage, right? What I generally hated about ends, right? Sorry, about kills, was that not just the fact that, well, Mike Myers lives in all this, right? But just the establishment of, this is it's just this bullshit thing that was started from the beginning, that, oh, he's evil personified and he's pure evil, and that explains why you would try to kill him and you'll just keep getting up and keep going, right? But here in Kills, they just made it even worse by saying literally he's immortal and there's no way you could kill him, right? Ha ha ha, the end, right? And I thought that was just a slap to the face. It was just a painfully unnecessary sequel, right?
Yeah.
But they say they filmed it, concurrently with this movie here, Halloween Ends, right? So yeah, we're gonna see what happens next. I say, all right. Me being a completionist, right? And this is funny, right? Because I don't complete horror, series at all, right? But with this one, because that trilogy, I say, here's a let me just see how they're gonna end this, right? I already knew this show got bad reviews, but I just want to see how they end it, right?
Yeah.
So I had to get into spoilers for this one, boy. But I'll just give the cliff notes first, and then I'll jump into spoilers in between my review, right? So we cut to a few years after, after Michael Myers' rampage, right? Everybody in Haddonfield, Illinois, wondering where Mike Myers is. Sorry, Michael Myers is. They wondering if he dead or whatnot. Nobody knows, right? And the show decided to center on this random kid by the name of Corey Cunningham, right?
Right.
And it's set up that he was his babysitter, and one night, on Halloween night, while he parents going out to party, some costume party, he was supposed to take care of the kid, right? And through some unfortunate, but for me, pretty hilarious circumstances, the kid is accidentally killed, right? He falls off of a flight of stairs and dies, right? I
Right.
thought it was funny. Just the setup was funny, right? And Corey is accused of the crime, right? And then we learn that he was let off, but the parents pretty much kind of hate him, and he just has a stigma falling around him. Oh, he's a child killer, blah blah blah, right? So everybody around the street, everybody in Haddonfield pretty much accusing him of killing that kid, right? And as you would expect in a movie like this, that just causes his psyche to be scarred, and then, well, eventually he turns to the dark side, so to speak, right? So after running afoul of some bullies now and literally like close to death, like he almost dies at the hands of some bullies, right? Mike Myers actually finds him, right?
Yeah.
And through some circumstance, like the dude, Michael Myers, right, literally looks at Corey's eyes and sees, like, I don't know, through some weird like psychic magic, whatever, sees what this kid has gone through and pretty much is inspired to take this kid under his wing.
Yeah.
So long story short, now this kid now becomes, the new killer, right? So he's going around seeking revenge on everybody who mistreated him and whatnot, right? Laurie, on the other hand, is dealing with the fact that her daughter died, and, well, her granddaughter's parents got killed in the second film. So she's just there trying to write a memoir, and she's just waiting for the day when Mike Myers returns, right? And it's just so ironic, right? So the granddaughter, right, Allison, right, same actress from before, Andy Matichak, right, ends up falling for Corey because she just sees him as, oh, he's just this misunderstood boy, and I kind of like him, and he's like this rebel, and they even give the guy a bike, so yeah, let's run away, man, and all that kind of stuff, right? So
Right.
just like the fact that he's a rebel, right? And yes, it is so forced and it makes no sense to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all of this is all for Laurie now. It's all basically for Mike Myers to come out to the open, right? Because yeah, eventually he kind of comes to the assistance of Corey to help him with his kills and whatnot. And because this show just has nowhere to take these characters, yes, eventually Mike shows up by the house of Laurie, and we get our final confrontation. And yes, this is not a spoiler, it's kind of obvious. Michael finally gets killed, and it is the end in question mark, right? And I'll stop there, right? So here's the thing, right? I will applaud the show for at least trying to do something different, right? the whole thing with Corey and just trying to explore evil and what could turn somebody psychotic and whatnot, right?
Right.
I just find it was just lazy pitting him with Mike Myers, and well, all of a sudden I see him, and he saw into my mind and he understands me, man. So
Yeah.
now all of a sudden he's my father figure. No, and now I'm gonna kill because he understands me. Hated that. That makes no sense, right? It's
Yeah.
so cliche, right? But the problem with this whole show, right, and it just touches on the franchise as a whole, right? So I'm a actually call this segment here "Stop It Now." Just stop.
Yeah.
That's the name of the segment here, right? Because yeah, boy, this franchise has just worn out its welcome for years, boy, and just
Yeah.
watching this thing is so painfully clear, Trent.
Wow.
No, this is your 13th film, Dread, and now you want to say, okay, well, we don't want it to be entirely about Michael. So let's
Yeah.
bring this one kid, and it could have gone brave and said, let it be about that kid, let him continue the legacy that Mike left, right? But you have to establish that Mike is still alive, and of course he had to fight Laurie because that's what the fans want, right? That's what the fans want, right? But instead of finding some kind of reason other than he meets this kid who happened to be psycho, it could have just been Mike and Laurie just setting up that whole confrontation again, and then it just ends. No, you bring this kid in the middle that nobody give a shit about, and you're trying, and the show spends so much time trying to make me care, and like at points in time you kind of care because the actor actually do a solid performance, right? But still, it's like, dog, we came here for the final fight. We came here for Mike Myers. We came here for the final round between him and Laurie J. What is this shit with Corey and,
Yeah.
all of a sudden this, that, the two? It makes no sense, shit. And then the mere fact that you pay him with Laurie friggin' granddaughter, Jen, makes no sense, Jen. But I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about this, so I gotta round things up, right? But yeah, watching this, boy, it was just so painfully clear that this franchise should have just ended years ago, boy. Like, I'm sorry, there's just no other way to describe this, right? Like it could have just like I will tell you one time, it could have stopped from since H2O back in '98, right?
Right.
We are now in 2022, and this franchise is now ending, right? And I made the joke on Facebook that it only done until 2028 when the original Halloween turned 50 years old, and some studio executive said, you know what, well, Halloween turned 50, so we gotta do, we gotta revive the show again, but we did the trilogy thing already now, so what we gonna do? We gonna make a series? I don't know. We gonna make some animation? We gotta do something, because it's Halloween, right? But here's the funny thing. I While I do appreciate Halloween, right, I am not the biggest fan of it, right? Of the original film. I appreciate it. I understand its place in terms of film culture. Like I understand it. It pretty much originated and subverted the slasher genre very well. But the constant sequels and the constant reminders that okay, Mike Myers needs to be a part of of horror film culture, right? Instead of just leaving him with the films that we got before. No, we just have to do sequel after sequel and reboot after reboot, remake after remake. By now, it's just like stop, it's just stop. It could have, I would say, it honestly should have stopped with 2018's Halloween, but no, 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 because Mr. Green said, I want to make a trilogy out of this shit, right? And here we go. And I'm sorry, even if fans know just saying no, we done with this, we tired of this shit, dread. And it just shows with the decision of centering it on Corey and making him the reason now to get pretty much to get Michael out into the open so he could fight Laurie and get his ass washed and die. That's really what it is. So it's
Right.
not really about Michael Myers. It's just the implications that led him to get out of hiding so he could face Laurie one more time and get killed. Dread. And to me, that just felt like a slap to the face to fans. Now, for non-fans of me, like me now, it just felt like just this boring setup, this cliche setup. Okay, we just need to show the beginnings of a psycho and all that kind of stuff. Like, oh gosh, I know around this time people is kind of lose themselves when it comes to shows about psychos. I mean, look at that Jeffrey Dahmer thing off on Netflix that I still haven't watched as yet, right? People just go ape shit over that, right? But by now, if you're not doing anything different or unique or special, then I mean, this is just so tired, man. And yeah, even though I applaud the effort, it was a trying to bring some new to the table, is a little too late, man. And especially in a franchise that just literally should have died years ago, man. So sorry, this was just a failure I would say a glorious feeling though, from top to bottom, man. I mean, I
Yeah,
understand the
wow.
man why to end the show, sorry, end his trilogy on a high note. But I sorry, you could have just stopped at 2018's Halloween. Just stop there. We don't need the sequels, right? And lastly, before I get to reading why, even though I did make the joke about the whole Halloween turning 50, and somebody at Universal gonna say, "Here, yeah. Well, now we have to reboot Halloween in some kind of shape or form. Like, okay, it's not gonna be about Mike anymore. It's gonna be, I don't know, the Laurie Strode story or some shit like that. I don't know,
Right.
right? But nah, man, like just end this. End this. It could have ended years ago. The premise is just like, that scene is like, not a deep or complex premise, right? But it's so simple, it could make for one or two films, Jeb. But when you stretch this thing out like this, like what David's trilogy did, you literally stretching out a basic, simple premise, Jeb, into three movies, way is insane. Is insane, Jeb. And it shows with this one, boy. So yeah, rating wise, I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 5, but I want my money back. Yes, I watched it home, but I want my money back. I want my time back, Jeb. This was a waste, boy. Like I said, what this segment is about, just stop already. Now. Just stop. Just end this whole thing. I don't want to see any Halloween, related films again. You know me, like in terms of the Mike Myers stuff. Just stop it. Just end this whole thing, right? But the sad part about it, boy, and I'll close here, is that I honestly don't think that this will be the last that we'll see of Michael Myers. Some way, somehow, along, at some point in time, whether the franchise turns 60 or 70 or even 100, some idiot could think, all right, well, the world needs to see Michael Myers versus Laurie Strode again, so let's do this again and again and again. It's like, dog, like, just stop it. Just stop, right? And that's all I have to say.